This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff after college football week one.
Not
Let's
quite.
go. Well, it is kind of. I
There's
mean,
only
there's still
one
one
game
more game.
in progress, which we'll get in a live update on the Boston College Florida State game. And we are days from being all the way back in the football world. Week one college football is about to end, and the anticipation of NFL week one is here.
Jim, we made it through the dog days of summer.
That's true. That's true. Not gonna lie, I'm not as excited for NFL as I am for college football. I mean, I'm excited, but watching college football this weekend's got me super pumped for college football.
Well, college football, in my opinion, will always reign supreme to NFL.
Yeah, I don't always feel that, but these games, I mean, my bettings weren't great, but these games were fun to watch.
All right, before we get into anything else, rest in peace to Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew.
Yeah.
Gaudreau played for the Blue Jackets. Jim, how is this tragedy being discussed in Columbus world?
It is very sad. Like the guy and his brother were only in Jersey. Well, I shouldn't say only. We're in Jersey for his sister's wedding the next day. And a drunk driver took their lives in Columbus.
Was it confirmed that this guy was drunk?
He admits to having 5 or 6 beers, and that's what led to the cause of his driving aggressively.
Okay, I was gonna say because I knew he was doing like the aggressive getting around thing. I didn't know. I didn't.
At least that's what he told the police officer.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't read after the initial article.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
The tributes at Nationwide Arena, the sticks, the signs, I mean, there are a lot of young kids, like 4-year-old, 5-year-olds that are doing the junior hockey, the little skater guys who like have this man, his fat head on the wall. So there's some hard parent discussions being had as well. I was talking to some colleagues and stuff. They're like, not only does this terrible, like it makes me sad, but I gotta go explain this to my 5-year-old. And I was like, man, it was just a very sad day. It kind of also like hurt. I know this is very like meta, but it hurt Columbus like in its heart. So like the ramp up for everything else this weekend was kind of like flat. And I'm not just saying Ohio State football, but like not even for Ohio State football, just everybody was kind of just the Labor Day weekend, everything was kind of like very somber. It was weird.
Um, Unrelated, like one positive. My sister told me that she would have canceled her wedding. She told me and my brothers that, and we were like, you know what?
Oh,
No heart ever. Like we thought you hated us. I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And me and Nick, my brother, looked at each other like, oh. My dad's like, huh. And everyone was like,
because you would
wow.
have stolen her thunder. She's not gonna let you do that.
I did not bring that up. We just took it as the compliment. And she's like, I would feel like a complete jerk. Like, how do you celebrate something good in that like situation like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, it sounded silly, but my sister never expresses any sort of emotion in a positive light towards me or her other brothers. So it was like, I think deep down she likes us.
I don't even
I couldn't
the
imagine.
sheer logistics of I don't even want to get into it on a podcast, but like
Yeah.
this was more than aggressive driving in my opinion, but wow. T's and P's.
No show.
Alex and I took a trip to Morgantown,
We did.
taking the WU Penn State game, and we had a full day, including a 2-hour weather delay. More to come on the details of the day and
I'm
our
so
initial
excited.
our initial thoughts on our first game as season ticket holders.
So
Yeah.
pumped. Cannot wait to dive into this.
We're going to break down at least the top 25 college football action and other games as those want to be tossed out. We're going to give our winners and losers of the week, which is a new attachment to our college football discussion. So everybody's going to pick at least one winner and one loser, which could be a team, a person, a conference, whatever they want it to be. but we're going to have our winners and losers of the college football week 1. We also have our last NFL division breakdown with the AFC North.
I'm excited. I'll be the only one that says I'm excited for that
Huh.
too. I'm interested to see where others lie.
Usually Alex inserts a Kings of the North into
Yeah, I
something.
didn't want. I just waited till Jim started talking first.
Okay. As always, thanks to everybody that's interacting with our content on the socials at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Thanks to all the people, not all the people, but the people that told either mostly me, not so much Alex, that they wanted to listen more, especially now that football season is on, and hopefully they become subscribers on all of the platforms.
Let's
And
look
Hit the
at
bell on.
Bell on. Don't forget our weekly betting episodes as football season is all the way upon us. They will be dropping on Thursday mornings, so you can get primed to increase your bank accounts through.
Shout out to my cousin Brandon. He listened to this week's betting episode. Hopefully, he paid attention to somebody here.
Not me. You better not
Me.
pay attention to me. I even think I tailed Muff a little bit. Did you do okay, Muff?
2 and 3.
I'm hoping for 2 and 4 on Boston College tonight. Let's go, Boston College.
I think, in my defense, I think Jim might have tailed me on the Boston College thing.
I
Jim
did.
tailed
And-
you and I separately on different
and-
picks.
Yes, and I think because if Boston College covers, I'll be 3-1.
I did not have a great weekend, boys.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Do we have any guest pickers joining the show this week, Jim?
Yeah, we will have a guest picker. We will have a guest picker this weekend. Tune in to find out.
All right, without any further ado, let's get into college football week 1. Starting out with Penn State traveling to Morgantown to take on the Mountaineers of West Virginia. After a sloppy start on both sides, Penn State does end up dialing it in, capitalizing on a late first half touchdown, and then the weather delay happened, and they more convincingly took down the Mountaineers in the second half.
Which is funny. They did more convincingly take them down, but like you were saying, and I thought about this because I thought the same thing. Like the second half to me did not seem as competitive, and part of it was, the hype starts to die down. You're like, we've lost. It's raining, but I was like, really, it was 20-6 in the first half and 14-6 in the second half. That's my own observation. I mean, other than that, Penn State was bigger, faster, and stronger than we were in that game. And it is what it is. My theory was I could have chosen to buy into the hype, or I could have chosen to be like, no, we're going to lose. Why would I not buy into the hype and want to go into this excited with that feeling like, yeah, we're going to win. Yeah, we're going to win. And talk yourself into we're going to win. Like, what is the point of living life in a negative stance of like, no, we're going to lose? Like, in my heart of hearts, I knew the chances of us winning were extremely outside. I was hoping we would cover. I did have like a somewhat realistic thought that could happen, and that's why there's a line. I mean, to be honest, I actually, in my defense, said within 10. And I did feel that was possible. I think that we played a poor strategy against Penn State. It's like we didn't know Penn State's defense was good. Like, that's how I felt like we came out. Like, everybody knows Penn State's defense is good, and some of the choices we made did not reflect our knowledge that they were good. I would have chosen, like, I feel like we went with the same game plan that we're going to have against every other team, and it might work against a lot of the other, like, Big 12 teams, but I don't think it's going to work against a team that is very good on defense. But that being said, I mean, we played the number 8 team in the country. We lost. We didn't cover. It wasn't great. It was rainy. I still had a great time. I
When do we
enjoyed
cut him off? Like,
Do it.
when do we let this explaining stop?
First of all, the amount of times I've had to listen to you ramble about the dumbest
I just
shit.
okay, carry on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I think
I said I'm sorry.
You done?
Maybe.
I'm done.
All right, from Jim, Nate, did either of you watch this game?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
did not.
From an outside perspective, I'm interested, Jim, in your thought, because most of what I saw post game, and this was not really too much during the game did I hear about this, but more post game was people complaining about the officiating and some timely calls that could have maybe put WVU in a better position to be competitive in this game. I will say, being in the stadium, yes, there may have been some slight outrage at the time at some of these calls, but it didn't seem like something that carried on throughout the game. So, Jim, your perspective on the officiating, anything that you think could have helped turn the tide?
Oh, that's two loaded questions. Um,
Answer them separately then.
the officiating. So I watched 16 games. I didn't even when I watched Ohio State, I had multi-channel on.
Okay.
And frankly, because of the Penn State, the noon games, the officiating was normal for all 16 games. There was not a single egregious call that wasn't either made up for by another egregious call the other way or like caught up for later, like down the road. Now, were those calls that a WVU fan could sit back and go, yeah, that's some bullshit? I would agree. But again, there were calls later that, like, all right, you got your comeback. Like, I thought the refereeing in week 1 was not up to par where it should be. Like, I think we had the expectation that it's like either NCAA 2025 or like we're still in season. It's the first game.
Okay. So nothing that seemed crazy outlandish.
No. From, again, I'm taking this from a 16 game perspective. Most, I would say 14 out of 16, if not 16 out of 16, the first quarter of every game was sloppy as shit. Just terrible. To the point, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, from when I went back and kind of like rewatched and read about and whatever, because we didn't obviously watch a lot of the games, I felt like that too. It seems like every game seemed to start slow.
Yes. I disagree with Alex in why WVU lost. And maybe that's from me being on the outside. I don't think so much it's Penn State's defense so much as Drew Aller is a dog now. Like, he can't. Where did that guy come from?
I think I wasn't as disappointed in our defense because Drew Aller played really well. Like us getting beat by their offense didn't stand out to me. What surprised me was our lack of like doing certain things on offense that I thought could have been done better. So I'm not taking away from Penn State's offense. You were right. That just, to me, when I look at what could have been done better to have a better showing, was our offense.
I thought Penn State's defense, and again, this is from the TV viewer, I thought Penn State's defense showed holes that if I was a Penn State fan, I still hold question, can you beat the big boys? Can you beat Michigan and Michigan and Ohio State? Because of that defense and because I don't like the guy from Indiana. I would not have picked him. Now, I don't remember, Muff, you're going to have to correct me, but like when Manny Diaz left, what was left for Franklin to pick from as far as defensive coordinators? I don't know, because I sent that text message to you guys and I was like, wait, we lost Manny Diaz. We picked up the guy from IU who got fired. When was that? Was it early in the carousel?
Yes.
I don't remember. Was it early?
Yeah. Yeah, Manny Diaz was a hot commodity coming off of last year.
I don't know that that's the defensive coordinator for me at Penn State if I'm James Franklin.
Where did Manny Diaz end up?
I knew you were going to ask, and now my brain is gone.
So real quick, just to kind of put a little bit of bow on the game here. As far as Penn State's offense, obviously they brought in Kansas's offensive coordinator Kanelecki, who Duke, or was it
He's at Duke.
Kansas?
Head coach at Duke.
Yeah, I was talking about Kansas's.
I'm sorry, Muff.
Yeah, you guys went backwards. I was moving forwards. So that was a net positive in game 1 because you did see Drew Aller push the ball down the field, which was not last year. Last year, it looked like Matt Canada's offense. On Saturday, it looked like more of a professional style offense.
Yes.
As far as like the schemes and everything. So there's a lot of movement pre-snap, but it is all still pretty basic plays. It's all just window dressings. So
Yes.
interested to see how that continues to play out throughout the season. So moving past the game, Alex and I's tickets A+. We
I
are
have questions about past the game too. I just have one or two. The rain
regarding.
delay.
Okay.
Where the did you guys go? Like, because that storm looked hellacious.
Alex and I didn't get a drop of rain on us.
No
Nope.
way. Good for you. Where'd you guys go?
The concourse.
Yeah.
Just
That was
kicked
it.
it there.
Yep. Stood the circle with people we were with and waited on the game to come back.
Was it packed?
Yep.
So like, was it
They
like,
didn't run out of
like
bottled water.
claustrophobic?
No, not claustrophobic pack.
Okay.
I wasn't where we stood at least. I mean, but I will say that it was funny. They ran out of bottled water and people were all up in arms. I'm like, they don't understand. We were supposed to be out of the stadium by 3:30. The game didn't start playing until 4:30. You know what I mean? Like they don't
Yeah.
expect people standing around in hot weather for 2 hours. You put all that on top of it. Like I don't fault them for that. I mean, it wasn't a great look, but the fact that they didn't run out of beer and did run out of water, you're in Morgantown. What do you expect?
I think my last question on air, the big noon kickoff, were you around it?
No. Alex was in the seat about 15 minutes early. I sat in this. I didn't even sit. I got to my seat as kickoff was happening.
Where were you?
I was getting Alex and I beverages.
So, but the big noon kickoff was all morning. I'm sorry. I don't mean the kickoff as in the kickoff. I mean the show, Fox's big noon kickoff.
Again,
Oh,
Alex
we
got.
we were like with a bunch of people out at another house. It was like a mile away.
Got it. Did
By
you
the time we walked-
expect? Do you guys think it like someone for Columbus, if game day is in town, it's different than when the big noon kickoff is in town. I'm trying to lead the question to, did the big noon kickoff make a difference to Morgantown?
I didn't hear a lot about it. I think it was more like
Yeah, I wondered.
the MGK type concert. Was
That's where I was headed. It was like the feeling from the visual was around the big noon kickoff was like a big deal, but the rest of Morgantown couldn't give a shit less.
yeah. It seemed like more people said, "Hey, MGK's here," than
Yeah,
"Hey, big new kickoffs here."
that was the vibe on the TV for me at least.
Yeah, we were watching game day where we were.
Yeah.
Before we even went. We weren't even watching the big noon kickoff.
Right.
So, but our tickets are good. Alex was surrounded by Penn State fans on Saturday,
I was. That
which
was
was kind of funny to me. But there were no issues, even when things were still competitive in that way. Thanks to Baltimore Guru Keith and all the crew that hosted Alex and I throughout the weekend, including our early morning Saturday fun all the way through our late night Saturday sing-alongs.
Yep. There were some late night Saturday sing-alongs.
What were we
Sounds
singing
amazing.
along to?
Alex,
Whatever Muff played on the radio, pretty much.
whatever I happened to tap into at the bar.
The touch tunes, and I went ahead and used my clappers as musical instruments and clackers, not clappers. I think I was referring to them as my clackers.
We were about 20 to 25 minutes outside of Morgantown, away from Morgantown at a smaller bar. So we were not in the downtown situation. We excluded ourselves from that.
All right. Good deal.
That's
Glad you
good
guys
day.
had fun.
We did.
It was a good day. Now, Jim, your thoughts on Akron and Ohio State?
Again, I could almost say identical first quarters in terms of like their performance, the very sloppy, even the officiating, I would say very similar. They didn't cover like Penn State did, so great teams cover. They did not cover. I thought that Jeremiah Smith is that first series caused a lot of issues, but then good God, that man's gonna be phenomenal. Quarterback play definitely different than last year.
Okay.
Offensive line cannot get off the ball. Cannot get off the ball. That's going to be a major issue.
cannot get off the ball like downhill, or are they zone blocking?
Downhill. Like they can't knock anybody off their block. Like we can't get the run game to go for shit.
Okay.
Like it's just not.
Like, week 1 and the sky's falling on the run game.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. There were text messages from lots of people that it was not okay.
It was not okay to win by 40 some points.
If that would have been a better thrown ball, Nate.
Oh,
It was not good.
It was not good.
Not good.
Not good in any way, aside from your freshman wide receiver.
The quarterback play, the receiving game, the defense is, the defense, but God, we better help that offensive line.
Okay. Defensively, if
Yeah.
we feel good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
it's a question mark sometimes, I know.
I
as
think
far
they
as-
feel like they got the right. They again, like, and it was said on game day, like $20 million was paid.
Right.
Like that was not a $20 million performance.
Okay. That's
It just
I
wasn't.
think that's an awful way to look at it. Just from a big picture perspective. I
You
hope that's
told me
not
what Columbus is saying.
Oh, I know I asked. I just don't like that thought.
That's not a $20 million performance.
Don't like that thought. I will say Ohio State has an NIL deal that's giving every Ohio State student athlete, including walk-ons, a meal card at Chipotle that is good for 1 meal per week. I believe it's just during their active season.
I think
But
so.
I think that was pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
because it includes the walk-ons. So I like that. It's a good thing
Yeah.
for
Good stuff.
Ohio State to promote and for Chipotle to promote as well.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions on either West Virginia, Penn State, or Akron, Ohio State?
Alex, do you feel that this impacts West Virginia next week?
No.
Will this one be like a letdown next week?
No, we're playing Albany at
Okay.
6 p.m.
don't sleep on Albany.
We're not.
Albany was in the FCS playoffs last year, either like Final 4 or Final 8 team.
I think that we will take care of our business next week.
And the student section hopefully will stay the whole game.
Well, it is kind of a notorious thing regardless. If it rains
Yes.
that hard, the student section went somewhere, found a bar. It wasn't. I mean, they were
I don't blame them one bit.
no.
For 2 hours, if it was like a 30-minute delay, I might have thought
Oh, yeah,
differently,
no,
but
it
it
would've
was
been
2
better.
hours.
No,
We were sitting there
see
for
ya.
2 hours waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we even questioned should we stick around at one
Yeah,
point.
there was because the first month's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not leaving. And then it was like an hour and a half, another rain delay. I'm like, I could be convinced.
All right, other top 25 action. We're just gonna roll through these. If you guys have anything specific, just go ahead and chime in.
For sure. Get ready.
Number 1, Georgia dominates 14 Clemson, 34-3.
Sad Dabo.
I knew that was coming.
Super pumped. Clemson is now on the list of they're back.
What?
The team's like, oh, they're back, but they're
Always
not
is
back.
back.
They're on the list. Except now we're talking stock. Remember at the end of last year, Dabo was like, if we're stock, you need to buy up all the stock right
I
now
gotcha.
because we're back, baby. No, you're not. You're now on the list. The teams that say they're back, but they're not.
Good news is they can still win the ACC.
I don't think they will do that either.
I mean, that's just the good news about losing that game week 1. So it
That's true.
doesn't impact their conference record. 3, Oregon survives against Idaho, 24-14.
Survives is the good way to put that too. Like I did not see Idaho hanging in as long as they did. Now, I mean, it obviously talent survived at the end, but again, this is the first week though. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I
So-
looked at that line for Dylan Gabriel, and he just threw that ball all over the yard.
Yep.
He was like 41 of 50 for like 400 yards, but they only managed 24 points.
That defense of Idaho, look out, I guess. I don't know.
They got moved on. They just I don't know how many 4th down tries Oregon went for. Like I don't know all the details. I saw quick highlights, so I saw that Oregon had to do something at the end to make that happen. So
Yeah.
see how that bodes for the next few weeks for them. Number 4, Texas blanks Colorado State 52-0.
Legitimately might be back.
Arch Manning had his first TD pass.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Did anybody
Tex-
see the sign in the stands of his student ID?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Archibald Manning.
Or the coach for Colorado State had someone walk around with like a banner in front of him while he's calling plays so he couldn't read his lips.
No, I didn't see that. That's funny. 5 Alabama. Also very convincing.
Yeah.
63-0 over the Hilltoppers, Western Kentucky.
Hilltop, but they also had a messy first quarter. I mean, I know they blanked them, but it was also a little ugly.
I think a lot of that on the first week too is, I mean, like,
Yep.
you got new people, you got just getting that rhythm, that vibe down. If it's not week one, I'm more like, hey, you should have came out a little more ready, but you gotta.
Yep.
There's a grace. There's a reason that some of them play teams like Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's gonna be odd to see Alabama, just thinking about them, to not see them be kind of a smash mouth football team anymore.
Yeah, they were like doing some. I saw a thing about their like celebration after an interception.
Yeah.
Nick Saban is not there anymore.
No, that made me not feel good. And I don't know if that's the old man on the porch thing, because I don't typically do that.
I went full old man on the porch feelings with there. So
But to see him posing after an interception like that,
The
Ugh.
championship and everything.
yeah, all
Yeah,
blinged
but-
out.
Yep.
What would Nick do?
I think that's not that specific situation, but everything around that is one of the reasons why I think Nick is no longer coaching college football.
Mm-hmm.
6 Ole Miss, 76-0 over Furman.
I couldn't see anything about this game. So somebody else did, please. But I couldn't
No.
find it anywhere on the YouTube TV.
They won.
Jackson Dart just dealing.
I
Yep.
would say Jackson Dart's line was. I mean, he looked good.
Against
Cool.
Furman, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
7 Notre Dame with the betting odds upset, 23-13
Yeah.
over 20 Texas A&M. Texas A&M was the favorite in this game.
The wheels just fell off of Texas A&M. Like they were good, and then it was like, oh. I think Notre Dame is not. I still think they're overrated. I
Yeah,
don't think they're that good.
I mean they have room to improve, but I don't think they lived up to the number 7 rating just because they
No,
road.
I think their defense is suspect.
Do you think it's suspect? Because that's supposed to be their strength.
I think it's suspect. I think they get picked apart.
Because, like, on the defensive backfield or...
Yeah, the defensive back. I don't think they have the talent there that some of these bigger schools that I watched this weekend has.
9 Michigan uses some late points to win 30-10 over Fresno State.
Listen. I know I'm Ohio homer. I get it. Okay. First off,
Jim called this his upset alert.
they were almost there, Muff. That last quarter and a half.
Hey, winners
This is
win.
what pissed me off, though. Again, I watched 16 games. Do you know where the dirtiest hits, the late hits, the bullshit came from? That Michigan game.
Fresno State.
Colorado.
I watched that one too.
Colorado had some of that action too, Jim.
Michigan was rough.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the Michigan.
Alex and I were watching this at the bar. Like, we watched pretty much the entire second half, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you see what I saw?
I was half paying attention, so no, I did not see everything that you saw.
Alex,
I was putting on a concert. I couldn't be bothered at the time.
well, Michigan were dickheads.
Fair enough. They do get the win. 11 Missouri, best Murray State, 51-0.
Didn't get to see it.
No, that's what it is there. 12 Utah and Cam Rising take out Southern Utah.
He's
49-0.
playing, right? He's starting.
Yep.
Yeah.
23 USC in Sunday night football action beats 13 LSU 27-20 in a game of which quarterback is going to lead their team to the next level. We have
Brian
our
Kelly.
early answer.
Yeah, I thought that Miller Moss looked pretty good.
Brian Kelly in that post-game interview.
That looked so fake.
Did it?
I agree.
Yes.
I agree with his. I think all of the words meant something, but that hand slap seemed like rehearsed in some way.
Yeah,
or forced.
Was
Forced.
doing-
Maybe
was
not
it like-
rehearsed, but
was it like
forced.
when he all of a sudden had a Southern accent?
Yes. Yeah.
I believe he's not a genuine person at all. I agree with you
No,
there.
he goes with the flow.
Yeah.
But I watched this game early on. Truth be told, I fell asleep and woke up at like the beginning of the fourth quarter. I thought early on that Nussmeier, LSU's quarterback, actually looked like he was throwing the ball better and was reading better. And then I fell asleep and some stuff happened. But I think both of these teams have reason to be positive about where the year can take them.
Yeah, but I think the LSU fans are like, seriously, dude, third year in a row, you lose the opening game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not good for Brian Kelly. I just think that
No.
from a player's perspective, I think both teams have reason to be optimistic for the rest of the season.
I don't know, Muff. I think with that loss, LSU's chances for playoff drastically decrease.
Well, obviously.
No, but like now, 2-loss team, like they got to go through Georgia and Alabama. I don't see LSU beating Georgia or Alabama, but they could still sneak in the playoff. 3-loss, you're out, bud.
Well, if they make it to the SEC championship game,
I
that's
don't
I'm
think they
saying.
will.
I'm saying like that's the next goal now.
Yeah, that's it. They're not, everything is for beat everyone bad.
Yeah, or only lose one game in the SEC, and if you don't get into the SEC championship, hopefully you'll be able to get into the 12 team with as a 1-loss SEC team, or 2-loss SEC team.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
We'll see. We will see a lot. I think there's gonna be a lot of discussion, especially in his last few weeks this year. 15 Tennessee, 69-3 over Chattanooga.
Some
A lot
good
of
stuff
talk-
happened.
A lot of talk about Tennessee's quarterback.
Yeah, good stuff happened. This was breaking into all the games. This quarterback play. So apparently he's good against Chattanooga.
All right, it's good week one under his belt.
Right.
16 Oklahoma takes care of Temple, 51-3.
Feeling good about that, Alex?
Yeah. No. I don't know. I
Oh
don't give a
wait,
shit
they're
about 'em.
SEC.
They're dead.
I'm
They're
sorry.
dead to
That's
me.
my fault.
No, I was like, they're both dead to me now.
That's my
So
fault. I haven't made the adjustment. That's on me.
okay.
Oklahoma State.
The next one I feel kind of good about, to be honest.
Yeah, you should. There we go.
Oklahoma State takes out South Dakota State 44-20. Oklahoma State's ranked 17 going into this week.
Yeah, I know in Oklahoma State, I mean South Dakota State's not a slouch. So
Yeah, I agree with
a
that.
24-point win is solid there.
I also think Oklahoma State's underrated.
I think they probably are outside of the Big
Yeah.
12. They're probably not getting as much respect as other teams.
Yeah.
18 Kansas State takes out UT Martin 41-6.
Okay.
That's what it is. Miami, a Florida, goes into the swamp and dominates the Gators 41-17.
Yeah.
To the point where the Miami players found the recruit section and said,
Yeah.
"You don't want to go here. You don't want to go here. Come with us."
It was
That's a Miami move right there, and I'm all for it if that's the reputation they want to bring back.
yes. Did you see the reaction of the Florida recruits though?
They kind of like blank stared him a little bit. I think they were
They're
unsure
probably
how
like,
to act.
I want to play into this, but I don't want to lose my spot.
Right. Like I don't know what to
They're
do.
like, yeah, I kind of want to go there, but I'm like, oh, I was going to go to Florida because I thought I can play. I don't think I can play against these guys.
Yeah. It was a
And if I
very
act
like
excited right now, that's not a good look.
exactly. They were stuck. They were froze. It was awesome.
Florida just paid for my whole weekend, and it was great, but they lost.
I'll tell you what, if Miami can get that same vibe week to week to week, that would be fun.
Yes,
That's good for college football.
Yes, I agree. In news of this game, 9th year tight end Cam McCormick,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
playing for Miami, Florida, had a touchdown in this game. We've talked about Cam McCormick before.
If they did a special on the game day, they did a special on big new kickoff, and then the kid gets a touchdown, like it feels rigged when they do shit like that. Like I know it's not, or maybe it is, who knows? I know I'm the conspiracy guy, but when you get two highlights from two different broadcasts, and then they talk about it on CBS during my game, it's like, come on.
I mean,
Well,
you can game plan for that to happen for him.
Sure.
Right. To say it's rigged is maybe they gave him a couple extra plays today to get him a touchdown. Like that's realistic.
Fair enough.
A lot of
And they were playing Florida.
a lot of talk after this game about Florida head coach Billy Napier and whether he's going to continue to have a job in the coming weeks. But if he is fired,
Who do you bring in?
he's owed 85% of his remaining contract, which is about $26 million. Thank you, Nate.
Who do you bring in?
I don't know any coach that would want to touch that program with a 10-foot pole right now.
Urban Meyer.
I think Urban's sitting pretty on that Fox set.
I'm not saying it's not worth a phone call. I just don't know if that's an Urban's into that right now. I don't know. I don't have that answer.
If you have Urban back in Florida, you have Miami be in Miami.
Oh,
Like the tide just completely shifts. Like all of a sudden we're going back in time.
I'd be so happy.
Well, then you had, I mean, Jim's not the first person to say this because in my algorithm on Instagram, there was the graphic of what percentage of Urban Meyer's Florida team has been in jail at some point.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, maybe people lobbying against this play. I'm unsure.
And my algorithm, it's funny you said that, Muff. On my algorithm came up a video on Instagram of Urban Meyer don't drink and drive, like PSA.
Yes.
I was like, this feels icky.
I saw that. It was odd. It was just weird.
It's not okay.
Number 21, Arizona, 61-39 over New Mexico. I think Arizona may be the team of the overs this year.
Yeah, they had a receiver that just went off.
Yeah.
200, almost 300 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yep. I mean, Arizona was coming on through the second half of last season, and looks like they're poised to continue to make a run through this season. So look out for the Wildcats. 22 Kansas, 49-3 over Lindenwood.
Take it.
Okay.
They won. 24 NC State, 39 Western Carolina, 21.
NC State did not look great.
No, this game was tight at the half, I think. Wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And West Carolina might have been up.
At one. Yeah, I was just gonna say I think they might have been up. At least close to around the half, if not at the half.
And in the shocker of the weekend, 25 Iowa scores 40 points.
This was not the shocker of the weekend.
Iowa having 40 points is shocking.
All right, that's shocking. Iowa damn good.
Iowa's wide receivers had 3 touchdown receptions just in the second half, Jim, which matches the total number from 2023 and bests the mark of 2 wide receiver touchdowns in the entire 2022 season. And whatever they're doing on offense, they've changed something, and it worked in week 1.
All right.
How is Iowa scoring 40 points not surprising to you, Jim?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, that's like a real football team.
And they did so without Kirk Ferentz.
Which might be the answer.
I was going to say, is that a good look for him or a bad look for him?
Find out next week, I guess. And what's our live look-in of Boston College taking on Florida State?
14-3 Boston College.
They were like 16.5-point underdogs.
There might be 2 coaches on the big old hot seats in Florida after tonight. Might be 2, and I feel like Florida State's going to be willing to pull that trigger a whole lot quicker than Florida.
I think it's the other way around, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Yeah, depending on the buyout. But yeah, I don't think Florida's going to can Napier.
I think they will.
So we'll find out in the coming weeks. As always comes up in week 1, college football, who was paid what to play whom? You have the top 5 or 6 sitting here. At $1.9 million, Alabama paid Western Kentucky. Auburn will be paying New Mexico, and Georgia will be playing UMass, $1.9 million for their matchups.
Crazy.
Michigan paid $1.85 million to Fresno State. In the $1.8 million category, Michigan will also be paying Arkansas State. Ohio State paid Akron $1.8 million and will also be paying Western Michigan $1.8 million. And Colorado State is going to get $1.8 million from Texas.
So
or
This
they already got that, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Is
Yes.
it weird to you that like
These
so?
schools have that much money to pay.
Well, yeah, that. But so Georgia played Clemson, which was supposed to be a good team. Now they're turning around to play UMass. Why wouldn't you just like I get it if you play UMass first, but I always think it's weird to take a step back for those teams.
Both teams probably got paid money to play that kickoff classic.
Well, and that's like how many years in a row you've seen the SEC have like that very much a bye week in like week 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we always talk about like, oh, this is a well-positioned
At the end makes more
game.
sense to me than the beginning.
Mhm.
Like once I play Clemson and I prep for Clemson, I'm like, yeah, let's just keep rolling at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then put that team at the end when you need a break going into the bowl season and stuff.
I'm
I
Well, and
pretty
think of that
sure-
on vice versa too. If like you're the team that has to go play Alabama week 10.
yeah.
I am pretty sure. I'm checking right now. Week 4, Georgia plays Alabama.
So maybe it's just a down in like a up and down kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, let's play something in the middle there.
And we need a buffer
Right. I'm checking.
or a fluffer.
A fluffer.
As Jim's checking, let's gonna transition into our winners and losers of the week. Again, everyone's gonna pick a loser and a winner. That loser or winner can be a team, person, conference, anything college football related, coach. Could be any and all of the above, depending on how you want to interpret that. This is our first time. I'm going to start us off and we'll go on down the line. My losers this week are the SEC, who went 1-3 in their 4 marquee non-conference games over the weekend. The SEC as a conference is my loser. My winners are Robert Morris, defensive back Rob Carter Jr. with his highlight reel, and I'm going to say more likely than not, interception of the year.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one to beat. That was awesome.
Is that the spinning one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So Robert Morris, defensive back Rob Carter Jr. And my second winner is Drew Aller in the Penn State offense, who was actually able to push the ball down the field against WVU and showcase that Aller does have an arm. It is worth allowing him to push the ball down the field, and hopefully that's foreshadowing of what is to come.
I would go farther on Drew Aller. I know I'm kind of standing on him, but like his mental presence, his like ability to rally like it felt like the team was around him. Like he felt like a dog. Like he really did feel like a quarterback that belonged at Penn State, which is, I'm sorry, Muff, a feeling that's been missing, in my opinion, for a while. That a quarterback like had the it factor at quarterback.
Probably thinking since Trace McSorley.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, Sean Clifford was a good college quarterback, but was limited in some of what he could do.
I just think that Franklin better ride that train.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
let's
and
go.
I called this out while we were sitting there watching it and talk about this, but the backup quarterback also was intertwined throughout that game, Bo Perbula. So, I mean, they've got a little bit of that. This is kind of like what they had with Will Levis there. When he was there before he transferred to Kentucky. So, Nate, your losers and winners.
So my losers is the ACC as a whole. Clemson got absolutely pounded by Georgia, who's supposed to be one of their premier programs. Vanderbilt, who's the SEC stepchild, just upset Virginia Tech. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. And then Florida State, not only are they losing 14-3 at home right now to BC, but they lose to Georgia Tech week 1 on the road in Dublin.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it because it wasn't a ranked matchup, but yeah, that Vanderbilt Virginia Tech upset
Oh yeah, it's in my thing.
was a big deal. Because Virginia Tech was, a lot of people were high on Virginia Tech, even though they didn't have the best season last year. They were returning a lot of starters, and people were high on them. So Vanderbilt went in there and proved something week 1.
Yeah, I saw that game and I turned it on last second and I saw Vandy missed a field goal to win at the end of regulation. But then I saw they ended up pulling it out. So that was a huge momentum swing for them. And then for my winners, sorry, Alex, is the Big Ten, because the Big Ten only had one loss this week as a whole for a conference. 19-17, Minnesota lost at home to North Carolina on a game-winning field goal with less than 2 minutes in the game.
All right. Jim?
My winner is Vandy. I felt like for a program that's been, I mean, other SEC fans laugh at them. I think that was a big come up. Their performance was well done. I watched that game, was really impressed with the way they handled Virginia Tech. So that's my winner. Losers, I got 3. The Akron QB, Ben Finley. You guys, did you watch? You guys were in the, I don't know where.
Oh, I saw the highlights. I don't know how that guy walked out of there.
First off, he got smashed like right off the rip on probably a dirty hit by an Ohio State player. He comes back after getting it all checked out, and then Jack Sawyer just beats the dog shit out of him on like 3, 4, 5 plays, and then his coach calls another quarterback run. Like it's like the coach wanted him to get crushed. But then Akron does a dual quarterback design where basically like they were running him out to protect so the other quarterback could throw or run. It was like you're putting a target on this poor broken quarterback and he's just your punching bag. Like that's not okay. My other loser is Florida. Because of the recruit thing, like that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I felt bad for those kids, and it was funny at the same time. And then my other loser is my bets because I did not do well.
Shotgun blast
All right.
incoming.
So what'd you say?
Said shotgun blast incoming.
Yep. I will say I also was high on the ACC this week, or low on the ACC this week. I think that they have a lot to be desired. There were a couple teams that had hype coming in. I'm not going to break them all down. Nate did a pretty good job talking about them, but very few shining points there outside of Miami, which, spoiler alert, is my winner for the week. But my other losers are Neil Brown and my liver.
Fair
Neil
enough.
Brown was a high praise and took a step back this week, but there's still time. I'm not selling him yet, but boy, I wasn't thrilled about him.
Wasn't thrilled about
Winner,
the outcome of the game.
yeah. Winner's Miami. I mean, I thought they came out, had a showing, kind of gave their stamp on the we might actually be back. So
All right, and that's our winners and losers of the week. We're gonna keep rolling through that.
I like that.
We'll keep it just to college football. I think we'll
Yeah.
leave the NFL out of it, just because there's usually a little bit more there's a lot more games and everything to go into in the conferences and all that. I think add an interesting wrinkle. All right, we're gonna power through some other news in football, mostly almost exclusively here in the NFL. So just roll through this with some comments as helpful. The NFL will not be implementing the electronic measuring system this season, continuing to use the traditional chains for all of the official measurements.
Of
Overall,
all the rules, that's the one.
that's the one.
Okay.
They said that they had tried it throughout the preseason, not to the fan, right? But they were testing all of their systems and they decided not to put it into play. It was going to be a decision, I think, post the last preseason game, and the official word came out. I think that's a loss for the NFL not to be able to implement that this year.
I like Chang Yang.
Of course you would. The Dallas Cowboys signed CeeDee Lamb to a 4-year, $136 million deal, making him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history behind Justin Jefferson, and included a $38 million signing bonus, which is the most ever for a wide receiver. In other news in Dallas, they brought in Dalvin Cook, who is still on the free agent market. It's a good week for Dallas.
All in.
Yeah, there's a good Jerry Jones quote about being all in and everything, and I wish I would have grabbed it, but if you haven't listened to it, read it, give it a look. The 49ers signed Brandon Ayuk, but still no Trent Williams. How much will the holdout now of Trent Williams impact the 49ers if it doesn't get done quickly?
I mean, it's going to be a huge step back to their line play if they don't get that deal done. But I feel like he's not or it's not as big of a media deal as the Brandon Ayuk thing was.
I think that's the problem, is it should be more of one.
Yeah, if I'm a team, I would have prioritized Trent Williams over Brandon Ayuk.
Yes, I am in full agreement of that, Nate. Other thoughts, Alex, Jim?
No, I just agree.
I agree.
Jamar Chase is still a hold-in with the Bengals and reportedly is looking for a deal in the range of or more than Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Do we think Jamar Chase deserves that level of money? I guess CD Lamb money now as well.
I mean, I think he deserves a comp. I don't know if he deserves more.
I think he's high.
His asking price is high.
I understand that you're using the market, but there's also location. You ain't getting paid that, son.
It's not a Cincy expectation.
No.
We've talked about this going on, and I mean Jamar Chase still has 2 years left in his rookie deal. So how far is he willing to take this, knowing that he's it's not like if he starts sitting out games, he's going to be losing all of the money that he's got, right?
Yeah, I think
he's still sitting out of
it'll only
practice.
go a couple weeks. Once he starts losing game checks, he'll wise up.
I don't think he makes game one.
No, at this rate, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, even if he says I'm coming back, I think they're going to limit him, like they've been limiting Ayuk as well. So yeah, I think this is definitely of interest going into week 1 for the Bengals and how that's going to impact the team.
Silly.
And potential fantasy owners.
Good call, Nate. The Titans traded quarterback Malik Willis to the Packers for a 2025 7th-round pick. Willis is anticipated to back up Jordan Love.
Wasn't there a bunch of other picks for this too? Or was it just the 7th-round pick?
There may have been some conditional picks or compensatory that I didn't see, but I think the base was that 7th-round pick.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there may have been those conditional picks. But let's do a quick revisit of the 2022 quarterback draft class, which included Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, Bailey Zappi, Sam Howell, Chris Oladokun, and Skylar Thompson. And last, but definitely not least, Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, who is the only one of that group right now who has a starting job in the NFL.
And we knew that was sucky, though.
Talk about a shite class.
Let's blame COVID.
A bust.
The bust of a class, yeah.
I mean, when you look at those people, who's impressive? Okay, Brock Purdy. Sam Howell could have hope. Bailey Zappi actually showed some promise in some games, but the rest of it's like.
Well, Zappi got cut. Did he ever go back to the practice squad, or did anybody pick him up?
Don't know. Didn't keep tabs on it.
I just remember seeing a thing that was like notable cuts, and he was one.
Yeah. Interesting.
The Chiefs signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Hollywood Brown not expected to play in Thursday's season opener for the Chiefs. We gonna get some TikTok dances on the fitty?
Yeah, him and Jack Mahomes.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that pair. Maybe the worst pair in the history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs probably was offered $4 million more per year to sign with the Giants, but he turned it down because of New York taxes, the turf at MetLife, and the media.
I don't blame him.
Which part?
All of it. His reasoning is sound.
The media?
All of it. The whole thing sounds good to me.
Yeah, given the current state of the Giants, I think that would have been enough.
Like,
You could have just said, I turned down the team, and then everything else that comes with it.
Yeah, it's like Giants, Packers, Giants, Packers.
Yeah.
I agree with all this.
I'm going to go to Green Bay. Tom, go ahead.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Tom Brady could face restrictions in accessing facilities, watching practices, and attending broadcast production meetings. as he starts to become an analyst for Fox, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
As somebody who's coming in as one of the highest paid analysts for football, how would you love to say, hey, you pretty much just get to show up on Sunday and talk about football. You're not allowed to do anything else
Why are they restricting him?
because he's a part owner for the Raiders.
Or potentially.
Potentially a part owner for the Raiders, correct. And they're saying if he becomes a part owner, they don't want him to have access to any of that information, those practices, because of the conflict of interest.
All right.
It's the owners, right? The owners are pushing that.
Mhm.
But I mean, at this point, knowing that, hell, sign me up. I'm gonna be a part
Yeah.
of the Raiders and just show up on Sundays and talk about football with the world.
I mean, that sounds like an amazing gig.
I think so. It's like I'm saying, if I'm him, just let me buy in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the brain power. He doesn't need to go to all the practice and crap.
Yeah. I mean, they'll still have access to the regular game film, like
Mhm.
I'm assuming just like anybody else, like the all 12 angles, because
Speaking
anybody
of
can get
which-
access to that.
Did you guys see the post that he has all of like the call sheet,
Thank you. Thank you.
all the
That's where I was
scouting
going.
reports from like
Yeah.
every game he's ever been in?
No, I did not.
Nerd.
Every single thing.
Wow.
Every note, every tidbit, Belichick's version of like everything. The man is a plethora of information. Like, I don't think he needs to sit in a practice. And he's already stated that, like, they've dumbed the game down from when he started.
Like from a preparation standpoint.
Yeah. And for like, they're starting these first year QBs that like, and then they have to simplify the playbooks
Mhm.
down.
Okay.
So like, he's like well advanced beyond today's football. Still.
Yeah, I mean, he said on more than one occasion that the quality of play in the NFL now versus when he came in the league is just vastly different.
All right.
Yep.
Old Tom Brady still being Tom Brady. Fanatics refiles their lawsuit against Marvin Harrison Jr., now including Marvin Harrison Sr., stating that he aided and abetted the fraud on Fanatics. So it's now Fanatics v. Harrison family.
Good.
I don't know how long this is going to play out, but I'm interested to see the outcome. Forever. Yeah, it might be. The NFL is putting a rule in place that at least 3 games must be in the late window. I think that's a win for the people who are used to just only being able to watch Dallas Cowboys.
And Chargers.
Right, in a West Coast game. And last, 49ers first round pick Ricky Pearsall was shot in the chest in San Francisco last week. Was released from the hospital on Sunday and has since been put on the non-football injury list, which means he's going to miss at least the first 4 games. Initially, he was in serious but stable condition, but obviously was released from the hospital. So get well soon, Ricky.
Hold up. Did you read any of the deets on this?
It's attempted robbery. That's what I got.
They were trying to get his Rolex.
Mhm.
Okay. They shot him in the chest. He was wounded in the chest. This man was able to fire off his own pew pew, wound the other person, and then walk to the ambulance, just holding his bullet hole. All right, guys, and kept his rollie. He was like, "Here we go."
Yeah, I saw they said that he got lucky that it missed all major organs and it went in and out, clean shot.
Yep. Insane.
Yep.
Insane.
Get your bets in for rookie of the year.
Yeah.
If he's able to play, I think that's going to be part of that.
Muff, I'm pretty sure he will be.
Oh, he'll play at some point. I just don't know how long it's going to be. That's all I'm
Crazy.
saying. All right. Any other football news of note?
Halftime, BC 14, Florida State 6.
Okay. All right, back. This is our last NFL division breakdown. We typically have done this every year. We save the AFC North because it has the Ohio connection as well as the Steelers connection on this podcast.
The Kings of the North.
We were hopeful that maybe Jim would choose an Ohio team for his team this year, but he has decided on the Texans. Alas, he still has perspective from the people in the state of Ohio around.
From the people.
So last year's standings had the Ravens at the top at 13-4, the Browns at 11-6, Steelers in third at 10-7, and the Bengals in last place at 9-8. A solid performance from the entire division, being over 500. So we will start with the Ravens and some of their key losses, which included they had Dalvin Cook at the end of the year. They've lost him. They've lost Odell Beckham, Jadeveon Clowney, Ronald Darby, Gus Edwards, Tyler Huntley, who I believe was resigned this week, correct?
Yeah, he was cut by, I think, the Browns and then re-signed to the Ravens.
Okay. Offensive lineman Sam Mustipher, Patrick Queen at linebacker was lost in division to the Steelers. Rock Yassin at cornerback, and Kevin Zeitler along the offensive line. They do bring in Derrick Henry at running back, offensive lineman Josh Jones, linebacker Chris Board, and cornerback Kadar Holman. Joining alongside their draft picks, they took cornerback Nate Wiggins from Clemson in the first round, tackle Roger Rosengarten from Washington in the second round, and edge rusher Adisa Isaac from Penn State in the third, to join Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Roquan Smith, Kyle Van Noy coming back for another season after being picked up midseason, Marlon Humphrey at cornerback, and Kyle Hamilton at safety.
Zay Flowers is hurt, right? I think so. For a couple weeks, at least.
Okay.
But either way,
We still have good feelings about the Ravens as a whole, as a unit.
Yeah, I think there's enough skill there that they should still be very competitive. I mean, they're going to be coached well. I'm really interested to see early on the dynamic of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. How is that going to work?
Yes, I agree. I agree that I think just everything about this team it's not in question. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they work together. Next, we have the Browns. Browns losses include linebacker Sion Takitaki, tight end Harrison Bryant, defensive tackle Jordan Elliott, Anthony Walker, and Mike Ford in the defensive side of the ball. Joe Flacco, I think, is worth mentioning as a key loss because of what he did for that team last year. Matthew Adams on the defensive side of the ball, and Kareem Hunt is still a free agent in the market. They do bring in Jordan Hicks at linebacker, Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver. Devin Bush comes back to the AFC North, and Jameis Winston, who there was talks about Jameis Winston maybe being a casualty of the last round of cuts. He makes it to the regular season roster as the backup for Deshaun Watson. In the draft, they didn't have a first round pick, but the Browns picked up Michael Hall Jr., defensive tackle, Ohio State, in the second round, and Zach Zinter, guard from Michigan, in the third, to join Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, who is starting the season on IR, Amari Cooper at wide receiver, David Njoku at tight end, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Jordan Hicks in the linebacker spots. The Browns, do we think they've improved in the offseason?
I mean, I don't think their addition, or I think their losses outweigh their additions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And there's still so many question marks there with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is defensively, I think they know what they're getting. Offensively, it is still a big question mark in my mind as well. So next, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost Deontay Johnson in a trade to Carolina. Patrick Peterson's no longer with the team. Mason Cole out at center, and Chukwuma Okorafor along the offensive line. I put in there Mason Rudolph as a key loss.
Huge.
Sorry, Sam.
Key additions, obviously at quarterback, they brought in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They brought in Patrick Queen at linebacker in division from Baltimore. Quarterback Dante Jackson, which I believe was part of the Carolina trade that sent Deontay Johnson away. Deshaun Elliott at safety. They bring in Van Jefferson at wide receiver and Cordero Patterson as well, the utility man from Atlanta. Draft pick. You like who? Sorry.
Cordero Patterson. I always kind of have.
Yeah.
Big fan myself.
Yeah, I like him as well as just an everybody kind of guy. Like he's Deebo Samuel light.
Yeah.
That's how I think about him. Draft picks of note, Troy Fontenot from Washington in the first round, tackle, center Zach Frazier from West Virginia in the second round, Raymond Wilson, wide receiver Michigan in the third, and the player that some people are saying could be the steal of the draft, linebacker Peyton Wilson from NC State in the late third round. Players of note, additionally, the running backs, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Interesting to see how that plays out. George Pickens at wide receiver, Pat Freiermuth at tight end, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, and second-year player Joey Porter Jr. in the defensive backfield. A lot of just unknowns, right, about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. How's the quarterback situation going to play out? Is the offensive line who
They just
has
named a starter.
last week? Yeah, Russell Wilson.
So okay.
I think Pittsburgh's in the same kind of boat as Cleveland, where you know what you're going to get on defense, but your offense, you have no freaking idea.
Yes.
Yeah, and the preseason, the Steelers have had offensive line injuries, right? I don't think there's anybody that's going to miss substantial time, but there is, I think, some questions going into week one of what that offensive line is going to look like. And tackle Broderick Jones has not played well in the preseason, and that's a spot that they're concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know they lost one of their starting guards for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a big thing, and they said that Frazier's going to be a starter week one. So is going to be a starter week one. So they're going to be extremely young on that offensive line.
Right.
Open it up at Atlanta.
Yeah, and I do think some of that may have. I think Russell Wilson was always going to be the starter, but I think it's further supported whenever you have a younger offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to count on Russell Wilson to 1-2 get the ball out, make those checks, do what he's got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And last, we have the Bengals. Key losses are linebacker Marcus Bailey, defensive tackle DJ Reader, Jonah Williams along the offensive line, Chidobe Awuzie and defensive backfield, Joe Mixon at running back, and Tyler Boyd, who I think is still a free agent. So I don't think the Bengals are re-signing him.
No, I believe Tyler Boyd signed.
Did he sign?
The Titans.
Okay, there you go.
Well, he's still a key loss.
He's still a key loss. Key additions along the offensive line. They brought in Trent Brown, Sheldon Rankins along defensive line, Von Bell at defensive backfield, Zach Moss at running back, Geno Stone at safety, and Mike Gesicki at tight end. In the draft, in the first 3 rounds, they took offensive tackle Amarius Mims out of Georgia, defensive tackle Chris Jenkins from Michigan, wide receiver Jermaine Burton from Alabama, and defensive tackle McKinney Jackson from Texas A&M. To join Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, we think, and T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson along defensive line, Logan Wilson at linebacker, defensive back Cam Taylor-Britt, and somebody tossed in here, Evan McPherson as well in the kicker role. You can say he's my distant cousin, but
my mom drafted Evan McPherson in our draft, and it just like comes out of my mouth whenever someone says, like, Muff's cousin, and everyone's like, really? I was like, oh wait. We just say it. I was like, I don't think they're actually related. I was like, oh, forgot my audience.
That was a joke that you all took too seriously. All right, so
it was a joke.
It's been a joke the whole time. Sorry about it, guys. So that is the ins and outs. Now we get to our predictions for the AFC North. Let us start with Nate this week.
I think the Ravens are still going to come out on top of this division. There's just too much talent there with Lamar. I think they'll go 12-5. I think the Steelers repeat last year's record at 10-7. Bringing in the veteran quarterback, I think, is really going to help this team out. But again, there's just still too many question marks, I think, for them to really take the next step. The Browns, I think, are going to struggle. Their defense is going to carry them to a 9-8 season. And then the Bengals, I think there's a lot of outside noise going on with Jamar, and even when T. Higgins wanted to trade, losing some key guys. So I think the Bengals come in last again, but they'll go 8-9 this time.
Jim.
I took from the bottom Browns 8-9, Bengals 9-8, Steelers 10-7, Ravens 11-6.
Right. I have the Steelers atop the division at 11-6, tied with the Bengals. Steelers get it on the tiebreaker. Ravens take a step back, but probably still make the playoffs at 10-7, and the Browns at the bottom of the division where they belong at 8-9. Alex.
I am going to be positive vibes only and go the Steelers 12-5. I think that we throw a bunch of pieces together, and my hope is they stick. And we come out on top of the division. I will go with the Bengals at 11-6. I think the Ravens take a step back this year. I'm not impressed with their addition to subtraction loss, like balance players. And then I think the Browns Brown and maybe get to 7-10.
Browns Brown. All right, that is our last division breakdown with the NFL starting on Thursday as the Chiefs take on. Who do the Chiefs take on?
Ravens.
The Ravens in Thursday Night Football. I believe it's on NBC. I don't think this is an
Correct.
Amazon game. Don't we have like multiple games starting out on weird times, like Monday night and potentially Thursday, Friday? You
Yeah,
got all sorts of stupid stuff.
Friday we got the Brazil game, Eagles and Packers.
Didn't you find something on that, Nate? Somebody's not going to travel?
Yeah, well, he's not traveling, but Darius Slay did an interview, and he was told by apparently the team in the NFL to not leave the damn hotel. So he said, "Look, why do you want us to go all the way down to Brazil to play a game with all this apparent violence going on right now? You're telling us to stay in the stadium. You send two teams down there that are primarily green, and we're not allowed to wear green in the stadium." And he's telling his family not to even bother showing up down there. He's like, "We're taking an 8.5, 9 hour flight to go basically sit in isolation, go play a game, and get back."
For the love of the game and the growth of the game, can thank the NFL owners for that. Other thoughts? AFC North, other football stuff, gents?
Not really.
All right. Now moving on to other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
Starting out, one of the last times, aside from here in a couple weeks, when we'll talk about golf. The regular PGA season has ended, and Scotty Scheffler finishes as expected on top, winning the Tour Championship along with the $25 million bonus payday, raising his total earnings for the season to $62,228,357. The breakdown is $3.3 million per tournament played, $830 per 18-hole round of golf, $12,000 per shot hit, and $3,000 per minute on the golf course for Scotty Scheffler, who's been number one for over 100 weeks, but still chasing Tiger's record at 281 consecutive weeks. End of story. Scotty Scheffler has been dominant.
I mean,
And getting paid.
Right? Getting paid significantly more now that PGA's had to open up their pocketbooks more to be more competitive with Live Golf, which, at least in my algorithms and everything I'm looking at, is not doing well in the fandom at the moment.
I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah, this whole Scotty Scheffler saga would be a great E60.
Yeah, he has earned every cent this year.
Yes. In the Tour Championship, and a golf is a beautiful game moment for me, Sahith Theegala called a two-stroke penalty on himself for making contact with sand on his club takeaway in the third round. Without this two-stroke penalty that Theegala called himself, he would have finished in a tie for second place, adding another approximately $2.5 million to his payday on Sunday.
Okay, can we go back?
Yes.
What does it mean when we say making contact with sand on his takeaway?
So when you are in the sand,
Mm-hmm.
you are not allowed to ground your club in the sand, which means you cannot rest your club on the sand. And you're not allowed to make contact with the sand until your downward strike on the ball. So you have to like hover your club over the sand until when you're lining
So
up and when you take the ball away. So when he was lined up behind the ball and he took his club back, he made contact with sand and moved a little bit of sand. It was not significant in any way. And he went to a rules official shortly thereafter and said, "Hey, pretty sure I made contact. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Because if nobody saw this or, has anything, I'm going to call it on myself because I think it happened." Right. And that's one of those things that if it happens after the fact, after the round, and they find it, he can be disqualified for not calling it.
Gotcha. That was
So-
going to be my next question. What happens if, since no one saw it, he just keeps playing? But that makes sense too.
I don't know. I think a 2-stroke penalty for barely touching sand seems pretty severe.
Yeah. Freaking golf.
So it was the game of golf, gents.
This is why people break their golf clubs, Muff.
This could be part of it, Alex. This could be part of it. In the
Almost got it.
WNBA, Angel Reese sets the all-time single season rebound mark. No, I think they have 5 to 10 games left at this point. So she's going to significantly improve upon the previous mark. So, solidifying Angel Reese in the record books for now and in the future. Okay, no other thoughts.
I always thought maybe Jim would chime in, but
Nope, not touching the subject anymore.
Okay.
Football.
well, congratulations, Angel Reese.
Way to go. In competitive eating, Joey Chestnut squared off against Kobayashi on Netflix on Labor Day and broke his own world record, taking down 83 glizzies and buns in 10 minutes.
That seems gross.
I mean, it's always gross, Jim. It's gross on the 4th of July. It's gross on Labor Day.
It doesn't get less gross on Labor Day. on Netflix.
It's just gross.
Nate, did you watch this? Did anybody watch this?
No, I just saw the highlights of it. And I saw he had like 83, and I think Kobayashi was like 67 or 68.
Which I think would have won. Both of them would have won on the 4th of July, I think, right?
Right.
Ugh.
So I actually, on Pardon My Take, I believe it was Wednesday or Friday, I forget which day, they aired an interview with Joey Chestnut, and Joey Chestnut gave his perspective on why he did not compete in the 4th of July. It was not that he wanted to eat the different hot dogs on the 4th of July. It was that they did not want him to really just talk about the fact that he ate other hot dogs. Like, it seemed like he got pushed out really hard for what was happening there, and it was not as necessary as I thought it was initially. He was going to eat the Nathan's hot dogs that day.
Well, hot dogs.
Hot dogs it
I love
is.
sports.
And last, in the diamond, in the baseball world, Danny Jensen caught for the Blue Jays against the Red Sox in a game that was suspended due to rain. And then Jensen was traded to the Red Sox and caught to restart the game, making him the first player in Major League Baseball history to play for 2 teams in the same game.
That is wild. Like, hold on, let me get my stuff.
Well, did you even hear? It goes on further than that.
Go on.
So when that game was called for rain, he was at bat. And then when the game resumed, he was now catching. So he resumed the game catching his original at bat.
That's nuts.
And apparently, I guess I don't know what the count was, but I remember I saw something that said that it was like at least a 1-strike count or something. Because if it got to 2 strikes, it would have been his at bat result no matter what. But since there was only like 1 strike in the count, the pinch hitter comes up and gets credit for that at bat. So he could have potentially caught his own strikeout.
So I'm
Yeah.
guessing they only did that for the history side of it, because there's no way that pitcher and him have enough. Yeah, I mean, like, what? How
Well,
do you just like?
I don't know enough about him to know if he's like catcher number 1, bar none.
I think he's the number 1 catcher for the Red Sox right now.
Yeah. So that would
Because
make
this
sense.
trade happened well before the deadline. Like this game was months ago and then it was rescheduled.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's crazy. Not only that it happened, but he got to catch the
Oh, so
his
this
at
was
bat.
It was not like back-to-back
No,
days.
so this
Alex.
game was like back in like May.
okay.
And it
I
got-
thought this was like during the game the trade happened.
No,
He
no,
just
no.
gets up
This
and goes
was
to the other
like-
dugout. I'm like, what the?
No, this was like back in like May or June, and then the game
Gotcha.
was resumed in
Okay.
August.
Gotcha. That makes. I gotcha. I gotcha. That,
It makes it, I think it makes it even
sense.
more interesting that it was that far in between.
Mm-hmm.
Another baseball news: Shohei Ohtani is having a historic season, and I don't think we or anybody else is talking enough about it right now. The LA Dodgers star hit his 43rd home run and stole his 43rd base this season, becoming the first player in history to achieve this milestone in a single season. In August, Shohei had 12 home runs and stole 15 bases without being caught. Also an unprecedented feat, as no player had ever had a month with 12 or more home runs and a perfect record in stolen bases. And I think he was almost leading the major leagues in both categories. I don't know if that's true, Nate. I think that was also going to be an unprecedented stat. So I don't know why. I mean, it's probably because he's on the West Coast, but I don't know how baseball is not talking more about Shohei right now. I understand how the beginning of the season started with Shohei as interpreter and betting, but I think this needs to be highlighted at all times.
Right. And I think he's doing all this stuff, and then next year it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to come back and pitch too.
Right. It's like, oh, that was a historic season at the plate. Now let's add this other element to my game.
Mm-hmm. So I'm tired of just hitting. I want to go try something else. Oh wait, I've done that before too.
And also in baseball, the Pirates' woes continue as they make the wrong type of history in a game when they were up 10-3 in the 7th inning, something that teams in the last 7 years had a record of 1,192 to 0 losses. The Pirates lose the game,
So
leaving us
chance.
There is a chance for anybody in that situation, I guess, which leads us back to sell the nutting team, Bob.
Yep.
I have a comment on
Still wear the shirt, but sell the nutting team.
On what?
on the Pirates. So Nate and I went to the game last week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had nothing to wear because, I don't sport. So I was making myself a shirt. And as I'm looking for ideas online, I really wanted to wear one that said, I spent more on this shirt than Bob spent on the Pirates. And Nate told me I wasn't allowed because we were sitting in his seats in his suite.
That
seems like a job-saving decision by Nate.
Yeah.
Okay, but he wasn't gonna know.
Until there was a picture.
You don't know if he's not gonna know.
I think it would have been hilarious.
I also think it would have been hilarious.
I think it was smart on Nate.
Job preservation.
I'm not saying I don't think it was a good idea.
Well, when you tell me when you go on your next vacation, you're like, I can't afford it because Nate lost his job.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
All right, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, we have our betting show coming out this Thursday, which will include not just the college football slate, but also the NFL. So get excited. Make sure that you're tuning in. You subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
At Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook. On YouTube. And the only way to keep this rocket ship going up, up, and away is to tell a friend, make a friend, be